Hey everybody, this is Jason Akers with Green Akers Pest Control. greenakerspc.com is my webpage. First, I'd like to just say thanks for everybody for all the subscribes and the likes and the comments. I really appreciate it. Tonight we're going to be talking about cockroaches and the dangers of cockroaches, diseases they may carry, and the different types of cockroaches we have here in Virginia. Now, I am located locally in Virginia. I service areas between Lynchburg and Charlottesville. So, you know, basically what we deal with here. Now, as far as your questions, any questions, you know, I'll try my best to answer, you know, anything you want to ask me. And I'll try to get everything you need asked, you know, answered as far as any information you need. But anyway, for tonight, we're going to start talking about different cockroaches that get in the house and what most people see around, you know, mostly inside. Some of these roaches are native outside. They are from the area. The cockroach you see there right on the screen, right there at the title, is a German cockroach. That is an adult. It's a female. She's carrying eggs. It's actually an egg casing. And I'll show you a picture here. These are what most people will get in their home, are called German cockroaches. Now, oop, I didn't mean to do that. See here, now, that right there is on the far left. Let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger. On the far left, that's a female, and she's carrying her little egg sac there. Now, to show you a comparison in their size, that's a penny, of course, and so you've got the female, the male, you've got the and the nymph stages. Now, a nymph, the way a roach grows up, they're born from an egg. As they grow older, they shed their skin. This is called an instar, where, you know, a caterpillar goes through metamorphosis. They turn into a butterfly through a cocoon stage. A roach does not have a cocoon stage. They actually just grow up and they shed their skin, much like a snake. So cockroaches have what are called instars. As they grow older, they shed their skin. Now, German roaches are the most common cockroach that we have that really bothers people as far as, you know, indoors. They are not native to Virginia. They cannot survive outside on their own, maybe in the summer when it's good and hot, but they do die as the temperature starts to drop below 50 degrees. They'll die off. The eggs won't die when they get cold, but the adults will die as they start to get cold in the wintertime or in the fall or even in the spring. Sometimes they may wander outdoors on a warm day. Like lately we've been getting up, you know, 70s, almost 80s here, even though it's almost April. So temperatures start to warm up. They may wander outside. You may find them living around the hinges of the outside of the door when they start to get really heavily infested. And but German roaches are typically attracted to water. They're attracted to hot water heaters. They're attracted to your bathtubs. They're attracted to shower stalls. They like to get into your sink drains. They like to get into your dishwashers. They love anywhere that there is a steadily regular source of water. They will also get into your fish tanks. They like fish tanks. They like to get beside a bedside table. Like if you've got a glass of water. Now, I keep water on my bedside table. There's my water right there. A big huge cup. I drink a lot of water. If you have a steady source of water, they will be attracted to your bedrooms. They will start living around your bedside table because they're attracted to water. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Usually the roaches that we get in around bedrooms are called brown-banded roaches, and this is what a brown-banded roach looks like. I'm going to go ahead and just take that off there. These brown-banded roaches, they prefer to live in and around your chest of drawers. They like to live in bedside tables. They like to live in furniture, chairs. They'll get into your clothing. They're not as apt to live around water sources like German cockroaches are. So typically what you'll find in a heavily cockroach-infested house, or what I find in cockroach-infested houses, are and also you have to excuse my shirt choice. My son me and him, we like to dress as twins, and so I'm wearing my Pokemon shirt today because he likes Pokemon. He's 12. But anyway, that's what I'm wearing today. I just thought I'd do a video about cockroaches tonight and try to help you guys out. But anyway, the brown banded, like I was saying, brown banded roaches will sometimes infest homes that are also infested with German cockroaches. It's very common to go into a house and find German roaches and brown banded roaches in the same residence. Typically, the brown banded roaches like to live in and around, like I said, bedrooms and living rooms, and the German cockroaches prefer kitchens and bathrooms because, you know, of the constant water source. They really like the water source. So we also in Virginia have what are called wood roaches. Now these roaches a lot of times are accidentally mistaken for German roaches. They're really big. I've seen them as big as 3 inches long, and they fly. They're the only cockroach that we have in Virginia with wings developed enough for them to be able to fly. They are attracted to the light. They're the only cockroach that will come out in the light unless, you know, I mean, all roaches will come out in the light. But what will happen is, the way I explain to people, most people will call me and they'll say, hey, I went into my kitchen this morning, switched the light on, and cockroaches scattered everywhere because cockroaches do not like to be out in the light. Wood roaches, this is a Pennsylvania wood roach. Wood roaches like to be out in the light. They like to crawl out of cracks and crevices. They will come in around your windows and your doors at nighttime. If you've got a porch light on, they will crawl on the wall beside your porch light. They will come in around your windows and your doors when you open them, especially in the spring and in the fall as their eggs are hatching. They'll come out. I had a lady one time that put mulch all around the outside of her house, and when she did that, they mulched the trees all up, you know, and it was free. She said her brother-in-law actually gave her the free mulch, so she spread it all around the house. Apparently the trees had been laying down for a while, so the roaches had laid their eggs in the wood. She mulched it up, put it around the house. The eggs hatched. She had wood roaches all over the outside of her house. Nightmare for somebody that wakes up in the morning and finds roaches crawling all over the house. And I wouldn't have believed it if I didn't see it myself, because typically people get 1 or 2 of these in, and she had hundreds. But you know, she had a certain circumstance with the eggs laid all over the wood. And that's what I try to tell people. You don't really have to worry about wood roaches infesting your home, because they do like to lay their eggs in and around rotting wood, which, you know, the name, wood roaches. So unless you've got a pile of rotting mulch in the middle of your living room floor, you know, there's not really anything to keep them in the house. You can shoo them outside, they'll fly away. But they are attracted to the light just like a moth. And so they really do have a stigma because they are a cockroach, but they really won't infest your house. They're not that bad. So that's the wood roach. Then we have the Oriental cockroach. Now these cockroaches will infest your house. These they're, in my opinion, they're one of the worst ones as far as disease carriers. They crawl in your sewers. They come up your sewer drains. They're very commonly called water bug. And so now what they do is they will crawl out of your sewer drain. They love raw sewage, anything rotting. They like rotting carcasses. If you have problems with mice getting in the house, and of course they die in the walls and places, that attracts them. They really like to get in and around rotting things. So what will happen, and then now they also like to get into your food and your water in your house. So what will happen is these things will come up out of your drains. Let's say you live in the city and they're coming out of your sewer drains. Maybe they're coming up around the wax seal on your commode, around your toilet pipe, or they're coming up your bathroom drain, or even your sink drain, all right, because they're coming up out of the sewer. Because they've been crawling in the sewage, they come out, or they come out your kitchen sink, or around your dishwasher drain. And so they come up, now they're in your house. They are crawling in and around your house. They decide, oh, hey, this guy's got some food sitting here. I'm going to go down in this box of cereal. I'll explore down in here, might eat a couple bites of cereal, crawl out. Wherever their feet have touched, they're tracking whatever they've walked through. So they'll come up and they'll walk all over your food. They'll get into your water. You know, they're really a filthy because of where they crawl. You know, that's why I always tell people they don't reproduce as profusely as, say, the German cockroach. German cockroaches, their egg casings can hold, you know, anywhere up to 30 roaches. That's the typical amount, 25 to 30. These roaches, because of their size, they're quite a bit larger. They're about 2 inches full grown, and so they're quite a bit bigger when they're born. When they're first little babies, they're a lot bigger than German cockroaches, so not as many fit in an egg casing. So they're slower to reproduce, and they don't produce as many babies per egg casing. So it takes them a lot longer to really get a foothold in your home, which is good because of what the diseases and things that they can carry on their feet. It's good to be able to wipe them out pretty quickly, and usually you can. One of the biggest problems with German cockroaches is that they can develop an immunity to chemical because they are social. They are spread by people. They are tracked in and out of homes, in and out of grocery store chains. They are very common indoors. They are all over the entire United States and Canada and South America and everywhere. Basically, anyone who's ever done any kind of trade with any warmer tropical regions of the world will have problems with these bugs because that's where they originate from. And so what happens is through trade, they get in on boxes. They like to eat decaying things like glue. Glue is typically made from the skins of animals. So it's very attractive to them. They like to eat, much like the Oriental roach with the mouse carcasses and things like that. German roaches like to eat those things too. So they're nature's vacuum is what I tell people. So what they'll do is they'll get into like paper bags at the grocery store. They like to eat the glue that holds the bags together. I was actually at a local grocery store chain here where I went in and it was just a local mom and pop store. And someone had told me, one of my customers had told me that they had really good deal on meat. They have a local butcher, and so they get really good cuts of meat. And so I went in the store, and sure enough, they do. They have really, really excellent cuts, excellent steak, excellent hamburger, just really high quality meat at really good prices. And so I went through the store and I thought, well, you know, I had gotten myself some steak, I got myself some hamburger, and I walked through the store and I was like, well, let me see what else they've got for sale here, because that's ultimately the meat's what brought me into the store. And so I went through the store and I found a box of Cheerios. Now, the Cheerios box top has a little glue right in the top where the box top, you know, you can squeeze it open and you can see how it's kind of glued together. And on this particular box, the glue had been separated from the top of the box top. And I noticed two little antennae, just like that roach right there, the second one from the left, that one with the long antenna. I saw his little head poking out and his antenna sticking out, and I was like, oh, there's cockroaches in that box of cereal. So I squeezed the box top, and there were about 5 or 6 cockroaches sitting right on top of that box, eating that glue that held that box together. And so that's one way you can bring them in your home. They love corrugated cardboard because typically cardboard boxes, even those that are stapled together, they're also glued or taped together. So they like to eat the tape, the glue in the tape. That's really common with German cockroaches. And so that's and the corrugation of cardboard, it gives them a really good place to live. They can squeeze their little bodies up in there. A German cockroach likes the top of their body to touch a surface and their legs to touch a surface all the time, which is why whenever you see them, they always are running into a crack. They're trying to get in between two surfaces where their bodies can touch surface all the time. It makes them feel safe. It's what they like. And so cardboard is perfect because they get in those corrugations and it's just perfect for them. They lay eggs in there and everything. So, okay, so that's let me get back on topic here, because there are several other roaches that we have, well, a couple other roaches that we do get in Virginia, and then I'll get on to how you can actually, you know, try to keep them down in your home, try to keep from getting them. This is an American cockroach. Now, an American cockroach, these things, now don't let this picture fool you. American cockroaches are huge. They are the biggest cockroach that we get in Virginia. They are, let me make this picture really big here so you can see it really well. This is actually a really good picture of a cockroach. There we go. This guy here, they like storm vents. They like, not storm vents, we call steam vents. Like if you have a boiler, they like to get into the steam vents of boilers. They love hot, humid environments. So they're not very common because not a lot of people use boilers anymore to heat their home, but they will get into boilers. They can be about 3 inches long. These are some big cockroaches. We don't get them very often, but they are a cockroach we do see from time to time in Virginia. I have one customer. It's a restaurant where their basement isn't finished. There's no gravel. It's just gravel. It's not concrete poured. And during the summer, it gets really warm in the basement. I don't know why. I haven't actually quite tracked that down. The building is shared. The basement's shared by other buildings around. So it's one big huge basement, and they all share the same basement. And so it gets really hot, really humid in there, and I have found these in that basement. It's the only customer I've ever had that have actually have a problem with these. They're not very common. They just does not happen very often. And I've been an exterminator now for almost 30 years, and I've never run across these but the one time. But I just thought I had to mention it just because we have them in Virginia, and because, you know, truthfully, I mean, I know this sounds crazy because I'm an exterminator and I kill these things, but that's a really pretty roach there. They're a really large, really cool looking creature. If you've ever seen one in person, if they don't irk you that bad, they're actually pretty cool to look at. But anyway, I just wanted to mention that. So I think I've gone over all of them. Let's see, German, brown banded, Oriental, wood roach, and American cockroach. And so that's the 5 roaches that we have in the area. And so now I'm going to get over into the German cockroaches again, because this is what most people have problems with. This is what most people call me about. And I'm going to go over a few things, try to help you keep these out of your house. Try to keep exposure to a minimum. You don't want these in your house. They are the hardest cockroach to get rid of if you get them infesting in your house, along with the brown banded roaches. But right now I'm just gonna, this is what people typically see. It's the most common, even more common than brown banded. But like I was saying before, let me move my desk here a little bit. I'll try to get a little bit situated. All right, so German cockroaches, much like I was saying before, where they come in on cardboard and paper bags. They'll come in shoe boxes. They will also come in on your friends. I did a video a while back on bed bugs and how bed bugs will travel in on people coming in your home. German cockroaches do the same thing. They are worse at traveling on people. They love people. They will get into your shoes. They will get in your clothing. They will crawl up and slip into a cuff of your pant leg. These are places that I have found them on myself. Now, I've been in homes where I've sprayed, I chase them out, I flush them out. They're crawling up the walls. They're falling across the ceiling. They're landing down on me, raining down on me. Thousands of roaches crawling all over me. I have one house, probably the worst roach infested house I've ever been in, and they were falling off the ceiling on me like rain. I mean, it was really irksome how bad they were. I went out, of course I'm brushing them off of me like this and flinging them off of me and doing like that and just flinging them up against the wall and smashing them on the tables and just killing them as many as I can while I'm even without pesticide or anything, just smashing them with my bare hands because there's just so many of them. And I walk outside even after all that, and I pick 16 of them off of me in the woman's driveway. Now, that's a lot of cockroaches to pull off of you. I mean, I'm taking them, I've got my shirt pockets, I'm pulling them out of my shirt pockets and flicking them away, and they're really awful at this house. And so I travel home, I get home, I go to use the bathroom. I sit down on the toilet, and one crawls out of my boot. Now, the house was 45 minutes away, and this roach felt that it was safe enough to crawl out of my boot now. Of all times, it could have crawled out on me in the truck. It didn't crawl off of me in the truck. It waited till I got home. It crawled out of my boot, and it crawled across the floor, and I killed it. That really... And then, of course, I freaked out. I sprayed the whole bathroom and everything just to make sure I didn't infest my own house with these things. So it really did kind of set to light to me to explain that, I mean, to try to... if I could think of the word I want to say here, it really, man, that's irritating. You don't know that word, do you?
Imperative. It's very imperative.
Yeah, very imperative. That's a good word. Sorry, my wife's sitting right here. She's playing a video game. But but anyway, yeah, it really gave me a I don't know. Anyway, I realize now how easy it is to track these things home, even for a professional who's trying you try your best to keep them off of you, and they get on you anyway, and you bring them home with you anyway. So it doesn't matter how hard you try. It's real easy to get them. I had a customer one time, and these roaches now, a lot of people will call me and they say, they're real. I try to stay discreet. I don't want people knowing your business. It's none of their business. If you hire me, I don't tell people other people's names or anything like that. I had a guy one time. He was one of the cleanest people I've ever been in. His wife's house was like, she had crystal. She had her white carpets, white tile, white walls. She had china cabinets set up everywhere. Her house was beautiful. These were like, if you've ever seen Gilligan's Island, they were like the Howells, all right? The Thurston Howell III. The house was just immaculate, beautiful. They were filthy rich, just really, really nice mansion. She called me because her husband... he had a couple properties that he was renting out in town. And he had brought a refrigerator home from one of these properties to do some maintenance on it because the compressor went bad in the back of the refrigerator, and he knew how to fix it. So he brought it home and replaced the compressor. And during this time, of course, the apartment that he took the refrigerator out of had cockroaches. So he brought it home. Oh, excuse me. And had the refrigerator sitting in his garage where he had done the repair work on it. Cockroaches went, the kitchen shared the wall with the garage, so the cockroaches crawled through the wall, went around the baseboards and things. They can get in through the wall, went under the wall, got into her kitchen. She called me up. I am not dirty. I don't want people to think I'm dirty. You have got to get here right now. You need to kill these roaches right now before they become a problem. And so I did. I left the office. I went right straight to her house and started spraying her house, killing her roaches. But I don't want you to think that these things, a lot of people will say, well, I don't want people to think I'm dirty. I don't want them to think I'm nasty. I don't want people to get the wrong impression of me. You can't let people know I have cockroaches, which of course I'm not going to tell nobody. But they don't discriminate. They don't care if you're clean. They don't care if you're dirty. All they want is a place to live and a place to eat. And now I will admit, I've been in some homes that were filthy dirty. I had a guy one time. This is probably one of the nastiest places I've ever been in. Your feet stuck to the floor when you walked into the house. Because the floor was extremely sticky, like glue. He had 30-pound garbage bags, the black ones, sitting beside his kitchen stove, piled up almost to the ceiling. He had them in his living room. He had them all over the whole apartment. The only room in the house that was clean was the bathroom, and it was just about the size of a closet. It was just a one-bedroom apartment. And so, at least I know the guy cleaned himself because the bathroom was clean. But the apartment was not clean. It was a nightmare. It was like a hoarder's nightmare. I walked in, and I remember the first time I came, he was cooking beans on the stove. Now, it was just a little saucepan, just a little, about that size. And he was cooking a nice little pot of bean on the stove, and it was just him living there. And so I went back 3 months later, and the same pot of beans was on the stove, and it had mold growing in it about that thick. It was about an inch or two thick right on top of the beans. And so I took the lid off, and there was about 1,000 cockroaches living inside that pot, and they started crawling everywhere. Of course, as soon as you put that light on them, they don't like it, so they're trying to crawl, find a place to get out of the light. And the smell was just indescribable. All this rotten food and garbage. And so you don't want a bunch of garbage piled around either. Yes, they don't mind if you're clean, but they really like it when you're dirty, because it gives them lots of places to live, lots of sources for food. You need to try to eliminate all food sources if you can. I've even gone so far as to tell people to take your dog's food up at night. Put it back in the container the dog food goes in, because even dog food, roaches love dog food. So don't leave dog food out. They'll live on your dog food bowl. You'll pick your dog food bowl up, or the mat that the food and the water is sitting on, and there'll be roaches underneath it. I've found this. They live in anywhere that they can. If they think they're going to be safe there, they're going to squeeze there, they're going to live there. So, but too, you can bring these from hotel rooms. You can bring these from, I'm sorry?
Chinese restaurants.
Oh, Chinese restaurants, yeah. But you can bring them from anywhere. You really can. Restaurants, yeah, Chinese restaurants. I should tell that. You want me to tell that story, don't you? Okay, so now I have to say it because she's done opened her mouth. So now I got to tell this story because I can't leave you hanging. I went into a Chinese restaurant. The Chinese restaurant. This is one reason why I don't like to eat in Chinese restaurants. This is really the only reason I don't like to eat in Chinese restaurants. I went in, and it was 10 o'clock at night. They had closed up the day. I had to go and do this clean out at 10 o'clock. And so I went in the restaurant, and I opened the door, and it was... let's see if there's any questions. Oh yeah, there aren't any questions. All right, so I'll keep telling the story then. There was there was probably about 5 or 6 people left in the restaurant trying to clean up and get things ready for the next day. Excuse me, I'm gonna drink a little bit of water here. So anyway, they were cleaning up the restaurant, and if you can call it cleaning, and I went in. I walked in. Now, the way this restaurant was, you walked in the front door, and there's the bar where you order. With most Chinese restaurants, when you first walk in, there's your counter, got the cash register there, and the cashier, everything's right there, so you can order your takeout. Or, this restaurant was set up with a buffet, so you could go to the left, and there was like a curtain that hung between a doorpost. So, in this curtain is a white curtain, or at least it once was a white curtain, that hung from from the curtain rod, and in the middle of the curtain, right about arm height, was a brown smear across that had been left there from hands, people pushing the curtain aside to go into the dining room. And I guess they never took the curtain down from the time they were open to even wash it. And that was pretty dirty. That was grimy. I didn't really notice that until the second or third time I walked through the curtain. Then I realized that, wow, this curtain's never been washed before. It was like oily, like an oily piece of cloth. I walked in. Now that's not the worst part. That's just to give you an idea of how often these people actually clean their restaurant. But anyway, I walked in, and I went into the dining room. And I'm treating around the dining room, and of course it's all picked up. All the chairs are on the table and everything. It's ready. They're ready to clean up and all. And so they've already picked up all the chairs, and they've vacuumed all the floors and everything. And so I go in and I start treating around the tables. I've got a can now. I'm starting to try to flush the roaches out, and I see antenna, just like I was telling you about the cereal box. These antennas were poking out. Now, the way this restaurant was, it had paneling, wood paneling, in the entire dining room, and it went up to about like that chair rail, so the chair rail, and then above that, it was just sheetrock. So the chair rail, there were little grooves about that wide, every like 3, 4, 5 inches. It was scattered, so it was like you'd have a line there, and then you'd have another one there, and it would skip like 5 inches, and you'd have another one. But they were inset. They were little grooves. Every one of those grooves had roaches living in it. So approximately 1 million cockroaches, maybe, just in the paneling alone, because of how I'm just guessing, because you start treating and they start running out of the walls, and you're getting 100, 200 in each groove. That's a lot of roaches, and they really were. They were crawling all up the wall and everything. I mean, there were so many roaches living in the wall alone, just the paneling. And then I decided to take the napkin holders. Actually, what happened was I accidentally knocked a napkin holder off of one of the tables, and when I did, the roaches ran out of the napkin holder. So then I was like, oh boy. So I took the napkin holders and each one of the tables, and I slammed it down on the table, with those little rubber cushions on it, and every one of them would just scatter roaches everywhere. And so every single napkin holder on every single table had cockroaches living in it. The buffet, I opened the doors on the buffet, because a lot of people don't know this. I didn't know this, until I started treating a whole lot of restaurants as an exterminator. Then you realize, of course, I've been doing this since I was like 7. But prior to that, I didn't realize that they actually have doors underneath the buffet, so that they can, work on the mechanisms and everything to keep the food warm or cold. And so I opened those doors, and they're like little sliding doors like that. And the roaches were living around the little sliders where the doors would open. They were living all up around the little hot pans that would set inside the buffet. But also, and this is what bothered me the worst, they had these round little inset like plate holders. All right, and what those do is they kind of sink down into the buffet, and they're spring loaded. So as people grab a plate off the top of the buffet table, another plate will come up, and then the next person in line can get that second plate. And third, fourth, and so on. As the plates start to deplete, they'll go in and they'll add more plates in. And you'll see them do that from time to time. If you ever go in and eat a buffet, they'll replenish those plates. So the roaches were living all over that little mechanism that allows for the plates. And when you looked in, now they left the plates in there overnight. They didn't actually take the clean plates out and put them in the kitchen and wash them, because to them they were clean. But there were roaches living on every one of those plates. The ones real low down, that I guess as they start refilling the plates, they never actually get to those ones lower down. The roaches were living on those plates. And I imagine as you're walking down the buffet, if you're not really paying attention, you'll take a roach right off a plate with you, and I guess they don't charge you anything extra for the meat. But the extra meat, it's kind of nasty when you think about it. But anyhow, so, and that's not the end of the story either. So I go into the kitchen, and at this time I'm working with my father. That's where I learned how to be an exterminator, really, in the early years of my life. That's what I learned with him. I used to work for his company. And so what happened, he called me in there, and he's like, Jason, I want to show you this. And he had pulled the chest freezer out from away from the wall, and I looked over behind the chest freezer, and the roaches were that deep. They were at least 6 inches to a foot deep behind the chest freezer. Now, I told him, well, that's a lot of cockroaches. He said, no, you need to realize that that's not any cleaning. Typically with a restaurant, at least once every week, if not every 2 weeks, they'll pull the chest freezers out. They pull all the food that might fall like up behind the chest freezer out. They clean behind them real good, vacuum and sweep and clean the wall and everything, because, in a restaurant, it gets dirty behind stuff like that. And so they never pull them out. Roaches don't die 6 inches deep overnight. That takes days, months, maybe even a year for them to get that deep without cleaning. So it was a long time that these roaches were just piling up behind these freezers. And they're lucky that the restaurant didn't burn down, because dead roaches provide nice kindling, especially when you take them and you pile them up around a freezer compressor motor. So those things get really hot. And that's where roaches like to lay their eggs. They like to lay their eggs up around the refrigerator motors and the compressor motors of freezers, because they get nice and warm. They take the heat out of your food, and that's what makes the food cold. So, and then it pushes it out through those vents underneath and around behind the freezers, the refrigerators. So that's one thing that you can look for too. When you're trying to find cockroaches in your house and you think you might have a problem, if you pull your refrigerator away from the wall, and most of your newer refrigerators nowadays have wheels on the bottom anyway, so you can just wheel those things out and you can check underneath them for roaches. Sometimes they'll be right on the wall, perched right behind the refrigerator, especially the older ones with like the grate on the back, where it takes your heat out through that coil. They'll be living either on the coil or they'll be living right up against the wall where the heat collects. So, and another place too are those cabinets above your refrigerator. A lot of people don't ever use them. They might have something stored up there they might bring out once a year, like maybe a turkey pan or something like that. You can open those cabinets up and the roaches will live in there, because as the heat rises, it makes those cabinets right above the refrigerator really warm, and so they'll collect all that warm air. Roaches like to lay their eggs in a warm area because the eggs will incubate faster. They're not like chicken eggs where, you know, if you get a chicken egg too warm, it'll kill the chick inside and it won't ever produce a chick. But with cockroaches, you can get them real warm and they'll hatch quicker. You can actually lessen the hatch cycle. You can make them hatch where it normally takes about anywhere from 20 to 28 days, you can lessen it to 16, 18 days, you know, and you're having roaches hatching really quick because they're hatching them in warm areas. They also like to lay their eggs in coffee pots. They like to lay their eggs in toaster ovens. They like to lay their eggs, like I said, refrigerators, dishwashers. I had a customer one time, and this is my second point about how not to bring roaches in your house. One of my customers one time, she brought cockroaches in her house by buying a used dishwasher. She went out to a yard sale. Guy had a dishwasher for sale for $25. Now, if you've ever priced dishwashers, typically dishwashers run anywhere from $250 to $500, and that's like the bottom line. I mean, that's the lower end of the scale. I mean, you can pay more than that, but that's like bottom of the barrel, cheapest dishwasher. She got hers for $25, and so she's like, wow, I got that for a steal. That's amazing. I've got to get that. I've always wanted a dishwasher. She brought the dishwasher home, plugged it up, hooked it up, got the water all going to it and everything, and the dishwasher was infested with cockroaches because the man that sold it to her had cockroaches in his kitchen. I cannot stress this enough. Do not buy kitchen appliances at yard sales. Don't do it. Goodwill's not that bad. Sometimes you can get a good appliance, sometimes, you know, but don't buy used kitchen appliances. Just don't do that, because you're going to buy a used kitchen appliance and you may save some money on it, but are you really saving money if you have to pay your exterminator to come and kill your cockroaches that now you've infested your house with? It's not worth it. The money that you spend on an exterminator plus the money you spent on a used kitchen appliance, you got to add those together, and that's how much you actually paid for your kitchen appliance. And if it takes 6 months to get rid of it, you can really rack up a bill, you know, trying to get rid of roaches. So just save your money and buy your appliance when you got enough money to buy it. Don't go buying used roaches. Really, you're buying roaches. That's what you got to realize. You're buying cockroaches. Just don't do it. You know, I mean, you can buy my appliances if you want to buy my appliances. I don't have no roaches, but you don't know that. You know, that's the thing. You just don't know what people have in their kitchen. So, I guess that's really what.
Well, we were at the Restore yesterday. Saw a little.
Oh yeah. When we went to the Restore. Now I like to go to the Restore at the Habitat for Humanity store. This is the first time I actually thought about it. I usually buy countertops, stuff like that there. You know, they're really just aftermarket construction. You know, I don't like to buy a lot of stuff that's already used, you know, out of people's houses, and you can get that too. But I like to buy the stuff that, you know, Lowe's may donate a cabinet or two here that might be sent back or something, so they donate it to the Restore and take it as a tax write-off. So sometimes I'll get stuff like that. But we were in the Restore yesterday, and they had a table in there, and my wife wanted me to look at it. She's like, can you look at this table? Because I don't know if it's ever been in a house with bugs or bed bugs or anything like that. So I picked up a table, and I turned it upside down, and I showed her. I said, well, you see right here on this little corner, you see that? That's roach poop. You see over here on this little corner here, right? That's roach poop too. That is a sign that there have been roaches in this house before. And so you don't really want to bring it home, because all the seams where it's a wooden table, and so there's little spots where the joints come together, and you can't tell if there's roach eggs in there or not. And so I'm like, it's better to just be safe and sorry. It's a $5 table. Yeah, I'm an exterminator. I can kill the roaches if we get them, but do you really want to get them? Do you really need them? You don't. You don't need roaches. You don't ever need roaches. And so I told her it's better just to leave that stuff. And two, my son, this is another thing about cockroaches. My son has a problem with asthma. He did when he was younger. He's pretty much grown out of it now. But he could easily have a reoccurrence of asthma. German cockroaches will agitate asthma. They're not something you want in your house, because their poop, when they start leaving that stuff behind, the vapor that comes off, the smell, will irritate asthma. It can create asthma in people that have never had asthma before. It's not good. They're not clean to have around you. You don't want them around you. So you really want to limit that risk. Also, cockroaches spread staph infection because of the places they crawl, especially Oriental cockroaches. Excuse me, my throat's real dry today. Especially with Oriental cockroaches, because they crawl in the sewer. What they'll do, let's say you're asleep at night. You're laying there having a really good dream. Cockroach comes along, crawls in your mouth, crawls out of your mouth, because your mouth's wet inside, and so it's attracted to the smell that's coming out of your mouth. It's crawled right prior to getting in your mouth over your toilet seat. Alright? You've got a cut on your hand. Maybe you hit yourself. Maybe you cut yourself slicing onions or something for dinner. You got an open sore. The roach crawls over that open sore and infects you with staph. Now you got staph in your sore. And you wake up, you have this infected cut. Now you got staph infection. They're really filthy. They spread disease. They're not something you really want around. Like I said, if there's any questions, if anybody has any questions at all, don't hesitate to ask. I notice I haven't really had any tonight. Maybe because we're talking about cockroaches and no one wants to talk about it. No one wants to admit they have that problem. But don't be shy. Where I'm here to help. Make yourself a name. Come in here, watch me, and make a fake name. I don't mind helping you. I know it can be kind of unnerving. You don't really want people to know. You may be embarrassed, make people think you're nasty or something. I don't know, but like I said before, cockroaches don't differentiate between clean and nasty. They don't care. As long as you're a place to live, that's where they want to be.
I feel like my sister was a neat freak.
But anyway, yeah, I know. So anyhow, I guess that's all for tonight. I think I've said just about everything I needed to say. Be careful, everybody out there. Like I said, like and subscribe to my channel. I hadn't really had a whole lot of chance to do some live shows. I know I was doing them pretty regular there for a while. I hadn't really had a whole lot of chance. My father-in-law was in and out of the hospital, had a double bypass heart surgery, so I've been out of town for a little while. But I'm back now, hopefully to do a little more of these shows for you. Leave some comments below. Let me know what you'd like me to go over. Let's see, I think I've done termites, ants, bed bugs, cockroaches now. Open to suggestions. Anything anybody wants to hear, anything anybody wants to see, I'm always open to suggestions. Like I said, this show's now gone on for almost an hour. I think this is my longest show yet, mainly because there's a lot to say about cockroaches. There's lots of different cockroaches that we get here in Virginia. German cockroaches, I think, is the biggest problem that most people have. But I hope I was able to educate you tonight and teach you a little more that maybe you didn't understand, maybe you didn't know, maybe taught you a couple things. If there's any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Send me a message either here on YouTube, or you can find me on Facebook. I answer messages there as often as I can. I don't always check my Facebook. I don't always see the messages, but if you leave one there. Be patient. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. My greenacrespc.com, that's www.greenacrespc.com. That's my website. You can check me out over there. I have a form. If you have any questions, you can send it to me there too. And don't forget, like and subscribe my videos. That way you get these little notifications on the live. Also, the one thing a lot of people don't know about YouTube, if you like a video or you subscribe to a video, you won't always get notifications. There's a little bell up there. Make sure you click that bell on my channel so that you can get these notifications, so that when I go live, you can see me live. You can come in here and ask me questions, because I really like when people ask me questions. I know it's not something people really like to talk about too much, because no one likes to admit they get bugs in their house. But like I said, it's nothing to be ashamed of. Everybody gets bugs. I just, I don't know if you noticed there right in the middle of that video, I just pulled a stink bug off my neck and flung it in the floor, because those things have come out of hibernation, and I'm really due to treat my house. But I'm like a plumber with a leaky faucet. It's hard for me to come home and spray my own house, but I'm due to spray next week, so hopefully I'll be able to treat and take care of these things that drive me crazy. But anyway, y'all have a great evening. Like and subscribe, don't forget. And leave me some comments below if you liked it, if you didn't like it. If you have any suggestions, let me know. Other than that, y'all have a great evening, and I hope everybody stays safe out there.